Hello everyone, Chip's not here. He's out looking for another webcam because this one's broken and only shows in black and white. Taking advantage of our noir visual appeal is me, Gizmo Kaid. And because we're playing noir, which is traditionally black and white, today we're playing a black and white zombie deck that Teresk 1 took to a 5-0 in a modern league. Let's start with some cards, shall we? For our one-drop creatures, we've got 4 Gravecrawler, 2 Cryptbreaker, and 4 Carrion Feeder. For our 2-drop creatures, we've got 3 Wayward Servant, 3 Undead Augur, and 4 Tidehollow Sculler. For our 3-drop creatures, we have 4 Giraffe's Messenger, 4 Lord of the Undead, and 2 Plague Belcher. For removal, we're running 3 Fatal Push and 1 Nameless Inversion. Nameless Inversion is a tribal instant shapeshifter with Changeling spell that gives target creature +3 -3 and it loses all creature types until end of turn. This combos very well with our Lord of the Undead, as we can keep returning it to our hand and casting it again and again. We're also running 2 copies of Village Rites for card draw, and Agadim's Awakening, which function as both a land and as a mass reanimation spell. To stop our cards getting countered, we're running 4 Aether Vial and 4 Cavern of Souls. For basics, we've got 6 Swamps. And for our non-basic lands, we're running 4 Marsh Flats, 2 Godless Shrine, and 3 Concealed Courtyards. Our sideboard, it ain't complicated. We've got 4 Thoughtseize for Hand Hate, 2 Feed the Swarm for additional form of removal, 3 Plaguing Engineers in case anybody else is playing a tribal deck, 2 Damping Spheres stop your opponent storming off, and 3 Dragon Claws just in case we come up against a burn player. Now before we get to the games, I want to let you know Chip makes a video every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so if you enjoy this video, be sure to check those out. And if you enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like. That lets him know this is more of the content that you would like to see. And if you really like this video, showing a friend would help the channel out more than you will ever know. Let's get on with some games. We lost the die roll, a bad sign. This hand doesn't do a lot for us, so we mulligan. It's not great, but I've had worse. I'll keep. Put back Lord of the Undead. Opponent leads on a windswept heath into a forest and plays a Birds of Paradise. And they pass to us. We draw a Gravecrawler. We run out our Cavern of Souls, naming Zombie. And we throw down an Aether Vial. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Wooded Foothills and passes to us. We tick up our Aether Vial. We draw another Cavern of Souls. We play it and name Zombie again. And this time we run out the Undead Augur. We pass the turn there. Opponent cracks the Wooded Foothills. They get a Sacred Foundry tapped. We pass the turn. They play Plains. Ooh, they've got a Felidar Guardian. It blinks their Plains. In their end step, we activate our Aether Vial. Put our Carrion Feeder into play. And they pass to us. We're going to tick up our Aether Vial. Tidehollow Sculler, hey? We're going to activate Vial. Put in our Tidehollow Sculler. Let's take a look at that hand. Oh, they're a Through the Breach deck. We run out 2 Gravecrawlers. We decide not to get in just yet, and we pass the turn. Opponent plays a Steam Vance tapped. Passes to us. We're going to put a counter on our Aether Vial. We draw a Swamp, so we play it out. We go to combat. We start getting in. Opponent blocks. We eat their Birds of Paradise, but our other creatures bounce off each other, and they're down to 12. Sacrifice Gravecrawler. Draw some cards. Fatal Push. Not bad. We'll cast that now. Save us the trouble later. And yeah, I'll draw another card. We draw a land. Lands are good. We get our Gravecrawlers back from the bin, and with that we pass our turn. Opponent runs out an Oath of Nissa, and they scoop up the game. Sideboarding, we know they're on some sort of combo. Plague Engineer is pretty good. Thoughtseize is pretty good. Question is, what do we go down? Gonna cut the Village Rites. Don't think we need Cryptbreaker in this matchup. Gonna trim a couple of Aether Vials. Go down to 1. If we draw it, we draw it. But with Cavern of Souls, I don't think we'll be pinched. We get a good hand, so we're gonna snap keep. Opponent plays a Wooded Foothills, cracks it immediately, gets a Stomping Ground untapped, and runs out a Noble Hierarch. Well, like my daddy always said, bolt the bird. We pass the turn. They play a Misty Rainforest, get a Temple Garden untapped, and they've got a Rest in Peace. That's fine by us. They pass to us, got a Cavern of Souls, we'll name Zombie. Run out of that Tidehollow Sculler, let's have a look and see what's going on. They got the Celestial Purge as well. Well, it's frustrating, but we're going to take that. Opponent plays and cracks a Windswept Heath, gets a Breeding Pool untapped, runs out the Saheeli. They take it up to Scry, deals the damage to us. Their life total's pretty low. We draw a Swamp. I'm gonna run out the Wayward Servant, cast my Gravecrawler, and opponent scoops up the entire match to our draining. We lose the die roll again. Luck was not on my side. We draw a hand with lands and spells, so we're gonna keep. Opponent plays a Polluted Delta and cracks it, gets themselves Watery Graves untapped, and runs out the Hedron Crab. So we're against a mill deck. Well, we're gonna murder that crab. Pass the turn there. Opponent plays another Watery Grave, untapped. Glimpse of the unthinkable on us. They get a Gravecrawler in our grave. That's working for us. They surgically extract our Tide Hollow Sculler. They get to take a look at our hand, see what's going on. They take them all. They pass to us. Play a Concealed Courtyard. Run out our Carrion Feeder. And then we'll get our Gravecrawler back from grave. We're gonna pass it there. They play a Field of Ruin. Cast a Visions of Beyond. Just a cycle. Passes to us. We hit another Carrion Feeder. We run out our Undead Ogre. Go to combat and get in for 3. Opponent takes it down to 10. We'll run out our Aether Vial. Pass it there. Opponent scoops it up. They've seen enough. There's not much we can bring in against Mill. Do we just bring in the Thought Seizers? Take out more of their answers in hand? Trim the Village Rites? Yeah, we'll trim an Aether Vial or 2. Run it back. Lands and spells we're gonna keep. Lord of the Undead works very well with their mill plan. They play an Underground River and run out a crab. They pass to us. We hit a Gravecrawler. We'll lead on a Swamp and we'll run out a Carrion Feeder. We pass it there. Opponent plays a Polluted Delta. Cracks it immediately. Mills us for 6. Gravecrawler in the grave. I like that. Opponent runs out a Mesmeric Orb. We mill some cards, but we draw a Tide Hollow Sculler. Play a Godless Shrine untapped. We're just going to run out the Wayward Servant. We'll just pass the turn there, no attacks. Ooh, opponent mills their own Crypt Incursion and a Fatal Push. They make us listen to a maddening cacophony. We mill 8 cards. They pass to us. Draw a Swamp. Well, we'll lead on that. Cast this Gravecrawler from our grave. Drain our opponent to gain some life. We'll run out this Tide Hollow. In response to its own ability, we're going to sack it, put a counter on a Carrion Feeder, and get rid of a card from our opponent's hand for good. We're going to take the Go for the Throat. Yeah, we're going to take Go for the Throat. Ensnaring Bridge won't stop us draining them. Go to combat, and we're swinging for 4. Opponent blocks, takes 2 of it, down to 14. Mesmeric Orb goes off. They mill some cards. And they pass to us. We mill a bunch of cards. Nothing particularly helpful. Play the Marsh Flats, but we're not going to crack it. Swing in for 6. Opponent takes 4, down to 10. We'll run out Giraffe's Messenger. Drain them for 2. Drain them for 3 with the Wayward Servant. They're down to 7. Opponent does nothing and passes the turn. Well, we'll go to our turn. We'll mill a bunch. Go to combat. Swing in with the team. Opponent drown in the locks, our Giraffe's Messenger. Perfectly fair. Comes back with Undying, though. Drains you down to 3. And they scoop up the match. That's another one for the dead man. We lose the die roll again. When will luck turn into our favor? We get a slow hand. We're going to mulligan. It's a 1-lander, but we got plenty of 1-mana spells, so we're going to keep. Put our Wayward Servant away. Opponent leads on a Blackcleave Cliffs and passes the turn. Well, we draw a 3-drop that's a while away. We're going to play and crack our Marsh Flats. Get ourselves a Godless Shrine. Untapped. And we'll run out our Gravecrawler. Ooh, opponent cycles. A Desert Caradon. They play a Verdant Catacombs in their pass. We can't let them cascade. Go to combat, we'll swing in for 2. Run out a Carrion Feeder. We'll pass the turn there. They cycle a Monstrous Carabid, crack their Verdant Catacombs, get an Overgrown Tomb tapped, and go to their turn. They play a Blackcleave Cliffs, and they pass to us. Gonna run out a Crypt Breaker here. Opponent casts Violent Outburst. Living End on the stack. In response, we're going to sacrifice our Gravecrawler and sacrifice our Carrion Feeder. Opponent's creatures are much bigger than ours. Our removal is ineffective. We'll pass the turn there. Opponent runs out a Simian Spirit Guide, swings in for a bunch. Well, we'll go to blockers, block with the only creature that can block, and then we'll tap our team to draw a card. Nothing helpful. They pass to us. We do hit our second land. Cavernous Souls, naming Zombie. This does buy us some time. We'll run out our Undead Augur. Go to combat. Neither of these can block, so we'll just swing in. Opponent blocks with the Simian Spirit Guide. Well, we will sacrifice a Gravecrawler, draw ourselves a card, a Wayward Servant, another card that can block, and we will consume that Simian Spirit Guide and draw another card, an Aether Vial. Well, we'll pass the turn there. Opponent plays a Forest. Swings in for 10, so we must block. We take 4, lose a life down to 5. We draw lands. Can we survive? I think we can. It's not a good life, but we can get another turn. Play Cavernous Souls, naming Zombie. Run out our Wayward Servant. Get a Gravecrawler back from Ben. Go up to 6. Opponent down to 16. Opponent casts a Beast Within on their Forest, which unfortunately means we are dead. Sideboarding. Dampen Spheres can come in. Thought Seize can come in. Feed the Swarm might be more helpful than these fatal pushes. Go down the fatal push. Plague Engineer has Death Touch too. Could be helpful. Trim out Crypt Breakers. Trim out Village Rites. Trim out Aether Vials a little. And we'll go down 1 Giraffe's Messenger, 1 Lord of the Undead. Run it back like that. We get to play first this time. I'll keep this one. Play our Cavernous Souls, naming Zombie. Pass to them. They play a Blooming Marsh and pass to us. We draw a Plague Belcher. We'll run out Concealed Courtyard. We'll lead on Wayward Servant. Opponent cycles a Horror of the Broken Lands. They play a Verdant Catacombs. Pass to us. Run out of Marsh Flats. Crack it. Just get ourselves a Swamp. We'll run out of Lord of the Undead. Drain our opponent for 1. Opponent cracks Verdant Catacombs. Gets a Blood Crypt untapped. Cycles their Desert Ceradon. We'll swing in for 3. They're down to 13. Pass it there. They cycle another Desert Ceradon. They play a Verdant Catacombs and pass to us. We could Tide Hollow Sculler here, or we could Lord of the Undead. If it all works out, they're dead to either way next turn. We're going to run out our Tide Hollow Sculler. Drain our opponent. It's looky-loo at that hand. Oh, they've got multiple violent outbursts. We're in a little bit of trouble. Just a little bit of trouble. And because they got the Simian Spirit Guide, they could go off this turn if they so desired. So we have to take the Simian Spirit Guide. Drain them for 1. Go to combat, get in for 5. Alright. They are down to 7. They cycle a Horror of the Broken Lands. Crack their Verdant Catacombs. Give themselves a stomping ground. They are down to 6. They will wipe our board. They cycle a Street Wraith. They are down to 4. They cycle again down to 2. Play a Grove of the Burn Willows. Cycle a Horror of the Broken Lands. They're going to get quite the board. Violent Outburst into Living End. That is a very big board. They pass to us. We draw a land, but I do believe we are dead. Run out Marsh Flats. Let's go with Plague Belcher. They play a Grove of the Burn Willows. They cast a Demonic Dread, targeting our Plague Belcher. Well, that is mighty frustrating. They choose not to cast their Living End, and we are dead. This is a very slow hand. I'm going to keep. Opponent plays the Wooded Foothills. Passes to us. Lead on a Cavernous Souls, naming Zombie. Run out our Carrion Feeder. Pass the turn there. In our end step, our opponent cracks their Wooded Foothills for a Breeding Pool tapped. And they play a Castle Garenbriggs, so we're against some sort of Titan deck. Well, we hit a Grave Crawler. That's pretty good. Run out the Grave Crawler. Sacrifice it, put a counter on our Carrion Feeder. Play our Grave Crawler again. And we'll just get in for 2. Pass the turn there. Opponent has the Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Runs out a Simic Growth Chamber. And only plays 1 land. How very curious. And they pass to us. Gonna play a Swamp. Run out the Wayward Servant. Go to combat and swing in. Opponent blocks the Gravecrawler. Well, we will sacrifice the Gravecrawler to put a counter on our Carrion Feeder. Opponent takes 3 down to 14, and in our second main, we run back at our Gravecrawler and drain them with the Wayward Servant. And we'll pass the turn there. Opponent plays a Ghost Caller. They have 6 mana. They get their Primeval Titan. Gonna Valakut the Molten Pinnacle. They hit our Carrion Feeder and our Wayward Servant. Well, in response, we will sack the Wayward Servant. Carrion Feeder survives. They play a Vesuva and target the Carrion Feeder again. Have to sacrifice the Carrion Feeder. Opponent swings in for 2. We take it down to 16. We draw another land. Play our Cavernous Souls, naming Zombie. Village Rites, our Gravecrawler. Tide Hollow Sculler and Garalf's Messenger. Run our Garalf's Messenger. Drain them for 2. They play a land. Valakut's gonna ping us. They play another land, which means we are dead. Bring in Feed the Swarm. Bring in Thoughtseize. Go down Village Rites. Go down Crypt Breaker. Go down Nameless Inversion. We'll trim a Tide Hollow Sculler. Run it back like that. We'll keep this one. Lead on Concealed Courtyard into Gravecrawler and pass the turn. Opponent leads on a tapped Castle Garenbrig and passes back to us. Play another Concealed Courtyard. Run out our Tide Hollow Sculler. Let's have a look at what's going on. They got a Reclamation Sage. We'll take that. Go to combat, get in for 2. Pass the turn there. Opponent casts an Ancient Stirrings. Hits a land. They run out their Arboreal Grazer. Plays a Gruul Turf. Returns the forest to their hand. Passes to us. While Giraffe's Messenger into Plague Belcher is one heck of a combo. Play Concealed Courtyard. Swing in for 4. Opponent blocks 2 of it. Run out Giraffe's Messenger. Drain them for 2. Pass the turn there. They play a Teleria West tapped, and they pass to us. Fatal Push. Interesting. Lead on Swamp. Cast Fatal Push on the Arboreal Grazer. Go to combat. Swing in for 7. Run out the Plague Belcher. hit our Giraffe's Messenger, drain our opponent again, all the way down to 4. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a snow-covered forest. Get themselves a Primeval Titan, Field of the Dead, and Hallowed Fountain, gaining themselves some life. And they scoop it up. We got there. We'll keep it the same and run it back. Gonna keep this one. Opponent leads on a snow-covered forest into an Arboreal Grazer, into a Simic Growth Chamber. They pass to us. Well, we're gonna lead on Swamp, and we will Thoughtseize. Take the Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a snow-covered forest, another Arboreal Grazer. Plays the Field of the Dead, and passes to us. Run out Cavernous Souls, naming Zombie. Play our Carrion Feeder, play our Gravecrawler, pass the turn. Ooh, they hit another Dryad of the Elysian Grove. That also means they have no lands. And they pass to us. Aether Vial. I've had worse, I've had better. Gonna lead on the Undead Augur. Pass the turn there. Opponent cycles a Teleria West. Gets themselves a Gruul Turf. So we've got a Primeval Titan coming down next turn, and we have dealt no damage. They pass to us. We hit another Undead Augur. Gonna sacrifice our Gravecrawler, draw a card. Thoughtseize. That's exactly what we wanted. Well, we will Thoughtseize our opponent. Take that Primeval Titan away. Run back at our Gravecrawler. Go to combat and swing in. Opponent blocks with the Grazer. We will sacrifice our Gravecrawler again. Draw another card. Another Gravecrawler. And we will consume that Arboreal Grazer. Opponent runs out a Khan, the Great Creator. Ticks down, reveals a Tormod's Crypt. They play the Tormod's Crypt, and they sack it immediately to exile our graveyard, and they pass to us. Well, we draw a Swamp. Run out a Wayward Servant, play our Gravecrawler, drain our opponent for 1. We will just attack Khan, the Great Creator. Opponent blocks with an Arboreal Grazer, and we pass the turn. Opponent ticks down with the Khan, gets themselves a Wormcoil Engine. Well, that will be a chore to get through. We're going to sacrifice our Gravecrawler, draw a card. Another Wayward Servant is not bad. Run out the Wayward Servant. Run out our Gravecrawler. Just pass it there for now. Opponent ticks up the Khan. No attacks. Plays a Simic Growth Chamber. Replays their forest. Passes to us. Another Giraffe's Messenger is not bad. We'll run out Giraffe's Messenger. Ping our opponent down to 12. Pass the turn there. Opponent swings in for 6. We will block with our Undead Augur. We will sacrifice our Undead Augur. Draw ourselves a card. Opponent ticks down the Khan. Gets an Engineered Explosives. Plays it on 2. Cracks it immediately. Well, in response, we will sacrifice our Giraffe's Messenger. Comes back. We ping our opponent again. Our Wayward Servants die. Opponent is down to 8. They run out a Reclamation Sage, targeting their own Wormcoil Engine. They choose not to destroy it. Get a Cavern of Souls, name Zombie. Go to combat, attack with everything. Opponent blocks and block. They take 2 down to 6. We'll run out our Undead Augur, run out a Carrion Feeder, and run out an Aether Vial. Pass the turn there. They play a Khan, the Great Creator. They tick it down, get themselves a Pithon Needle. Well, this does present a problem. Alright, Pithon Needle. Name's Carrion Feeder. No attacks from our opponent. Put a counter on our Aether Vial. Fatal Push. Well, that may have just turned the maths into our favor. We'll run out Lord of the Undead. Swing in. Opponent blocks our Carrion Feeder. We will Fatal Push our own Carrion Feeder. And we beat our opponent. We win the die roll, and we're going to keep this hand. We will lead on Swamp into Gravecrawler. Pass the turn there. Our opponent plays a snow-covered forest into an Arboreal Grazer. Oh no, it's another Titan deck. They get a Sacred Foundry tapped, and they pass to us. Draw a Swamp, so we'll play a Swamp, run out our Carrion Feeder, run out our Aether Vial. Block check, swing in for 2. Opponent blocked. We pass to them. Opponent plays a Temple Garden, tapped, passes the turn. Gonna put a counter on our Aether Vial. We draw another Gravecrawler. Run our Marsh Flats, crack it. Get ourselves a Godless Shrine, untapped. Run out our Plague Belcher. Put the counters on our Gravecrawler, and we will pass the turn. We missed out on a point of damage there by not violating our Gravecrawler. Opponent casts Path to Exile on their Arboreal Grazer. We will let that go. They get themselves a Plains. They play a Castle Garenbrig, and they get the Primeval Titan. They get a Bajuka Bog and a Field of the Dead. Field of the Dead makes 2 zombies, and they exile our grave. They pass to us. Well, we will activate our Aether Vial. Put our Gravecrawler into play. Pass the turn. We will put a counter on our Aether Vial. Cavern of Souls is the least helpful card we could draw right now. Well, we will do what we can. We can sacrifice our Gravecrawler to our Carrion Feeder a lot, and maybe we can just get there. Pass the turn. Next turn, our Carrion Feeder will be able to swing over our primeval titan. They cast an Eldorami's Call. Get themselves a Skyclave apparition. Skyclave apparition comes down, targets our Plague Belcher. Well, that is an unfortunate series of events. Well, we will sacrifice our Gravecrawler, put a counter on our Carrion Feeder, drain our opponent for 1, and then we will sacrifice our Plague Belcher. Carrion Feeder is now a 7/7. Opponent's going to swing in for 10, get themselves another Field of the Dead and a Blast Zone. We are down to 7. They play another land, and they get more zombies. They play an Arboreal Grazer. They pass to us. I do not believe there is anything we can draw. That certainly wouldn't be it. And we will concede. Bring in the Plague Engineers. Bring in the Thought Seizers. Go up the Damping Spheres and the Feed the Swarms. Go down the Crypt Breakers. Go down the Village Rites. Drop the Nameless Inversion, cut the Fatal Pushes, cut the Aether Vials, run it back like that. Yes, I would like to play first. Yes, I will keep this hand. We will lead on Concealed Courtyard into Thoughtseize. We will take our opponent's Dryad of the Elysian Grove, and we will pass the turn. Opponent plays a Wooded Foothills, passes to us. Play a Cavern of Souls, name and zombie. Run out our Wayward Servant. If they would like to path, that is their prerogative. They crack the Wooded Foothills, get themselves a Temple Garden, tapped. Alright, we pass to them. They draw and play a Valakut, and they pass the turn. Play a Marsh Flats, crack it immediately, get ourselves a Swamp. Gonna lead on Lord of the Undead. Opponent paths our Wayward Servant, we'll get ourselves a Swamp, and our Lord of the Undead resolves. Opponent plays a Forest, passes to us. Feed the Swarm, ooh, I like it. Go to combat, swing in for 2. Opponent takes it down to 17. We will run out our Plague Belcher. Put the counters on itself, we'll pass it there. Opponent plays a Castle Garenbrig. Passes to us. Well, we do draw the Concealed Courtyard. Unfortunately, that will enter tapped. We will go to combat, and we will swing in for 6. Play our Concealed Courtyard, and we will run out our Damping Sphere. Opponent casts a Path to Exile on our Plague Belcher. We will search our library for a Swamp. We'll pass the turn. Opponent plays a Hallowed Fountain, so now they can cast their Hour of Promise. They cast their Hour of Promise. Give themselves a Flagstones and a Field of the Dead. Our Lord of the Undead pumps their zombies too. We do hit a Carrion Feeder though. We'll run out the Carrion Feeder, and then we'll run out our Giraffe's Messenger. Drain our opponent for 2. Pass the turn. Opponent runs out a Primeval Titan. Gets themselves another Field of the Dead. Plays a Radiant Fountain. Swings in for 6. So we're going to cast Feed the Swarm on this Primeval Titan. Alright, well, we'll block. Stop pumping our opponent's zombies. We hit another Lord of the Undead, which is not particularly helpful here. And even if we cast Feed the Swarm, we are dead, aren't we? I do believe we are. Well, we will concede. So what did we think of Tarisk 1's zombie deck? It's a lot of fun, it's got a lot of legs, but it lacks a bit of the power that our Dimir zombie deck held. I do like the White Splash for Tidehollow Sculler and Wayward Servant. I think they are very powerful. I think, however, if you are running white cards in your main deck, why are you not running white cards in your sideboard? I feel like there was definitely some matches there where I could have benefited from some white cards. The match against Titan was not the easiest, I won't lie. We won one and then we lost the other. Lord of the Undead pumping your other zombie creatures is good, but unfortunately it also pumps your opponent's zombie creatures, which was an unfortunate series of events. We would have lost that game anyways, but it would have been nice to have had a chance. I think if you are running white, you can get a form of removal that is not Feed the Swarm, that removes both enchantments and creatures. However, the deck is very fun. I would like to play it again. I think I might start making zombies, or at least tribal decks, a regular visitor to this channel. I'd just like to remind you all that I release a video every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so if you enjoy this video, be sure to check some of the others out. And if you leave a like, that lets me know that this is more of the content you'd like to see. And until next time, y'all have fun.